Hi, I'm James Hill. Welcome to part 2 of the Billie Jean ukulele tutorial. If you haven't watched part 1, go back and do that now, but if you're ready to dive in, let's get right to it. You've learned the chords and the bass line separately. And now it's time to make the magic happen. We're going to combine the chords and the bass line so that you can play them at the same time. Take a deep breath and let's do this together. Strum the first chord, G minor. Now look at your ring finger and notice that you have also just played the first note of the bass line. So keep going and play the next two notes of the bass line. That's D and F. Okay, so far it's this. Then play A minor 7, the way we practiced it in part 1. 7th fret, 5th fret, and 7th fret. Now once again, look at your ring finger. Notice that you've also just played the next note in the bass line. Magic. Let's keep going now and play the next three notes of the bass line. F, D, C, and D. So that one was... We're actually halfway there. Here's what we've got so far. You can play it with me. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Just play that a few times. The trick is alternating between strumming and picking, and that might take some getting used to, but you can do it. So let's tackle the rest of it. Strum G minor 7, the way we practiced in part 1. 8th fret, 6th fret, and 7th fret. And what do you know? Your ring finger has just played the next note in the bass line. Bingo! So let's keep going with the next two notes, D and F. Good. Now I have some good news for you. The last bit of this is something you've already played. Strum A minor 7. The ring finger has just played the next note in the bass line, and all you need to do to finish it off is play F, D, C, D. Okay, whew, that's a big handful. I know you might want to stop and just breathe into a paper bag for a minute, but you're starting to see how it's possible to play these parts simultaneously, right? The 7th fret of the C string is where these two parts keep converging. That's the secret. They keep coming together and drifting apart and coming together and drifting apart. So it's like bump, 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 bump. And it makes them sound like really independent musical parts, but every time a note and a chord happens simultaneously, the note just happens to be G, the 7th fret on the C string, every single time. I feel like I just gave away a state secret there. So really there's nothing left to do but practice. And here's one tip for practicing. Leave out this part. That F, D, C, D, just leave it out. You can add it back in later. It's more important to get the flow of things like this. This only took me like a year to learn, so be patient with yourself. Finally, let's add the drums. Honestly, this is a topic that needs way more time than we can give it right now, and that's why I created UkuleleX.com. And if you're really interested in ukulele percussion and extreme ukulele techniques, that's the place to go, UkuleleX.com. But we've come too far with this arrangement to stop now. So I'm going to show you the essentials of how to add a drum beat to Billie Jean. There are only 3 sounds in the beat: the kick, the hi-hat, and the snare. The secret to the kick drum is to flick the strings right in front of the bridge. It's not just a strum, it's a flick of the finger, which puts a lot more force into the fingertip without having to approach the strings from, like way up high. Because if you did that, you're more likely to miss the mark and really hurt yourself. So flick the finger right in front of the bridge. This gives you that whoomp sound of the kick drum, but also lets you play a chord at the same time. Like that. Now the snare sound is another flick of the finger, only this time on the upper bout of the soundboard. And the secret of the snare is not just to flick the soundboard, but to also continue across all the strings afterward. This means you get the click of the snare and you're able to play a chord at the same time. Like that. And the hi-hat sound is just a muted strum, down and up with the index finger. And you can play a chord there anytime you want. Just mute the beats where you don't want to hear a chord. So the beat on its own goes like this. Now this takes some getting used to, and you'll probably break a nail and shed some blood along the line, but that's what makes the ukulele an extreme sport, right? So the biggest mistake people make when they start with this is that they just play too hard. Remember, I'm amplified right now, and I'm usually amplified when I play this way. So I'm not playing as hard as it sounds. Take it easy and use as little force as you can to get the sound you want. When you overdo it, you can really hurt yourself and your ukulele. So give it a try. Just the chords and the drums for now. The bass line can come later. Just the chords and the drums. Now the first chord always happens on the kick. And the second chord always happens on the upstroke immediately after the snare. Let's practice it a few times together, like this. Like that. Just that sequence. And then again. That's the whole rhythm. And you fill in the gaps there and you get... So this is one of the greatest riffs in pop music. And one of the things that makes it special is that it has these 3 distinct layers to it. You got the bass line, the chords, and the drums. And it's the combination of these pretty simple parts that makes the groove so mesmerizing. A lot of famous riffs just focus on one instrument. You think of Smoke on the Water or Seven Nation Army, for example. These are obviously written for guitarists by guitarists. The other instruments are just the backup. But Billie Jean is sort of a team effort between the bass line, the drums, and the chords. And it's pretty cool that the ukulele gives us a window into this piece of music so that we can see inside the riff and really understand how it works. Don't forget, if you want to learn a whole lot more about extreme ukulele playing, how to play hip-hop, EDM, drum and bass, funk beats, how to juggle melodies, chords, and drums on the ukulele, check out UkuleleX.com. That's the course I created for extreme ukulele players like you. Thanks for watching. Keep on pushing the limits of this amazing little instrument, and I'll see you soon.